Welcome to Techo Guide, the only app designed to help you navigate your college and career journey in the quickest and most affordable way. This podcast is brought to you by EdTechWity, dedicated to opening doors to higher education and career opportunities for all.
Welcome to Droppin' Knowledge with Professor G. In this episode, we're going to cover college basics for the California Community College. The California Community College is the largest system of higher education in California. In this podcast, I'm going to be covering general overview of what the California Community Colleges are. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what it takes to get into a college, the admissions process, and the steps that you got to take to actually become a student. We're going to talk to you a little bit about how much it costs or how much it doesn't cost, because for the majority of students, community college will be completely free, tuition free, etc. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about financial aid and how you can use and leverage some of the grants, state and federal grants that are available to students so that you can make your college free. Or some of you might even, depending on your qualifications, might even get paid to go to school. So that's kind of what happened to me, is I was paid to go to school because I met all the requirements. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that and how to maximize your education journey through the California Community College. And I'll cover a little bit also about what majors and what things you can study at a community college, the short-term stuff, the long-term stuff, the really high-paying stuff, the stuff that you really would love to do for a living, those kinds of things. And to wrap up this podcast, I'm going to cover all the different support services that you can take advantage of while in the community college to help you through the system. Let's be honest, college is hard. There's a lot of things that you need to know about to survive the college system, the college journey. So we're going to be helping you out with that and giving you some real good pointers on how to get through the system. So the system is large, the system is complicated. So let's just go ahead and jump right into the overview. So the California Community College system is the largest system of higher education in the United States. There are 115 colleges in the system that are broken up into 72 districts. So think of them as like your local high school, right? High schools are high schools. It doesn't matter where you go. California community colleges are California colleges. So it doesn't matter where you go in California. They're all relatively going to be the same. The difference is truly in the size of the college. So a small college will offer less majors, less programs of study than a large college. I currently work at a California Community College that has about 22,000 students, and we're one of the largest in the system. I think we're in the top 9 or 10 in the system of size, and we're able to offer quite a few different majors that a smaller college in our area cannot offer. So really, that's really the only difference, to be honest with you. Everything else is exactly the same. The admissions, the processes, the financial aid packages, the cost, all of that is the same. So I think of the California Community Colleges as just one giant family of 115 brothers and sisters. So when you go to one, you can take some classes there. If you end up moving, you can take some classes at a different community college. You can do community college classes online at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different colleges. It really doesn't matter. As long as you get all your transcripts to the one college that you're going to graduate from, they'll evaluate it and give you credit for the courses that you took, even though it was at a different campus, because they are one system. The newest of the California Community Colleges is our online collaboration of all the colleges. So we now offer at the California Community College system. So the overview, what I want you to understand is that it's one college with 115 different campuses that you can attend. Admissions, how do you get in? Like, can I get in? Can anyone get in? Yes, actually, yes. California community colleges are open access institutions. And what that means is that anyone over the age of 18 can attend a California community college. Now, that's it. There is no other requirements other than that. Admissions. The California Community College system is an open access system. And what that means is that anyone over the age of 18 years old can enroll at a California community college. You do not have to have a high school diploma. You do not have to have any other qualifications, whether there were grades or certain classes, to qualify. the California Community College prides itself in allowing anyone who wants to learn to enter the colleges. And so 18 years and older, that is the only requirement. You still may see some students that are under the age of 18, and anyone under the age of 18 either completed high school. There's different ways to complete high school, and testing is one of them. And technically, a 16-year-old can complete high school if they take the California proficiency test and pass it. So a person like that could easily enter a California community college because they have completed high school. The other students that you might see that are under the 18 age limit is advanced education students. And those are students that are given permission from their high school, their parents, and the college to attend while they're still in high school. And you'll see some of those students around California community colleges at different campuses, different times of day and night, because they are given that special permission. And if you want to learn more about that, please listen to our podcast on taking advantage of the California Community College system for advanced education students, which are high school students. But for the most part, the standard rule to get into a California community college is be 18 years or older. The process. The California community colleges require that you submit a college application. Once you submit a college application, then you'll be issued a student ID number for the particular college that you're applying to. Once you have that ID number, then you normally complete an orientation, which tells you a lot of things about that particular college you're going to, how to navigate it, what the offices are and where they're located, what the steps to enrollment are. That means registering and signing up for classes. After your orientation, normally you'll meet with some kind of advisor or counselor on campus. Sometimes they're online, sometimes they're in person. And what this person's going to do with you is kind of start to figure out what strategy is best for you to complete your requirements. They'll be talking to you about your major, about your career goals, about your current life and what kinds of limitations are there in terms of time. Are you working? Do you have a family you're caring for? Are you planning on taking classes, in the day, at night, online, etc.? So this is a counselor. You got to look at them like a coach. They're going to be the ones kind of coaching you on how to make it through the system, because the system is very complex. It's very confusing. There's a lot of misinformation out there. So you really want to try to connect with someone on campus as soon as possible. And that's what advisors are for. That's what counselors are for. That's what your professors in your classes are for, is they're there to not only teach you, but also coach you and really take advantage of those opportunities when you get them. And after counseling, normally you would go through registration, which is selecting some classes to start with, and then registering for them in an online system that the colleges might use. Every college could potentially have a different registration system, so you will have to learn the electronic registration system that they use. That's pretty much it. That's the process. Now, again, everyone can go to a California community college. The only real requirement is being over the 18 years of age. So if you had a doubt before, hear it from me now. You're getting in, and it's only a matter of deciding, when do I submit this application and what semester do I want to start? The cost. To be honest with you, the majority of my students, I would say 80% of my students to 90% of my students, go to college for free. And the reason is because California community colleges historically were pretty affordable. Many, many years ago, they used to be free. 20, 30 years ago, they were free to everybody. And then, some things happen in politics or whatever. And then as things get more and more expensive, the colleges started charging students registration fees. And they started off fairly cheap, and they're still fairly cheap. Registration fees at a California community college are $46 per unit for California residents. So if a class that you're going to take is 3 units, then it's going to be just under $150 for that class. Even if you had to pay, this is one of the best deals in higher education in all of the United States. Now, I do have very few students who do end up paying, and I can probably count them on my hands, the ones that don't qualify for some kind of grant that pays for their tuition. So for the most part, I tell my students, look, we're going to fill out every application we can so that we can make it free. And like I was saying, about, I would say 80 to 90% of my students go to college for free. California residency. California residents are people who've been living in California for more than a year. I often tell students, if I ever meet with them before they register, before they enroll in classes, if I get to meet with them ahead of time, I said, hey, if you want to avoid that big old fee of non-resident tuition, make sure you're living in California for a year before you enroll, because after a year, we'll classify you as a California resident, and then you'll be back down to the $46 per unit and not the $300 per unit fee that we would normally charge someone that has not lived in California for over a year. And so pay particular attention to how much the initial cost is going to be, and then what we'll do is we'll fill out the right financial aid application paperwork so that you can qualify for as many grants as possible. And that's what, when I refer to it being mostly free, that's exactly what it is we do charge, but then we reduce those costs or eliminate all those costs after your financial aid applications have been processed. And that includes those students that are applying for the federal financial aid programs or the state financial aid programs, or the undocumented students who also apply for state financial aid programs. And that's where most of you will go to a California community college for free. So let's talk about financial aid. Financial aid is government assistance to you to go to school, and you have to qualify for it. So it's based on family size, it's based on income, and some of the aid is based on your residency status. You'll hear that acronym quite a bit in college. The FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, is what citizens, permanent residents, and eligible non-residents students apply to receive aid. They take into account your family size, the income that your family makes, and the college that you're attending. So if you qualify, basically you're of lower income. If you qualify, you're going to be receiving some kind of aid. Some families receive very little aid, some families receive quite a bit of aid, and some families receive no aid. And it's based on those factors that I mentioned just a second ago: family size, income, and residency status. So federal financial aid is the big one. If you're a citizen, permanent resident, or eligible non-resident, you want to submit the FAFSA. You want to submit it as soon as you can. There is no real deadline. There is a priority filing period. The priority filing period is between October 1st and March 2nd of every year. And what that means is that if you get your federal application for financial aid in between October 1st and March 2nd, you will have priority for financial aid for the following year. Now, you can always get your application in after that. You can get it in April, you can get it in May, you can get it in June, you can get it in right before you start school. The problem that happens when you do that is that there will be a lot less grant money available to you. And so always get your FAFSA in. That's the moral of this story, is get it in. Whatever date it is, get it in. But try to get it in between October 1st and March 2nd. Every year, you have to submit the FAFSA. If you do not submit a FAFSA, the federal government assumes that you don't need any money and then would require college to charge you. If you do not apply, then the governments believe that you don't need any money to go to college, and the college would then charge you the fee structures, the $46 per unit, and not qualify you for any support programs because you didn't get the federal financial aid application in. So the moral of the story is get it in, because once that application is in, the college would then follow up with you to see what other documentation may be missing. And once you get that documentation in, any corrections you had to make, etc., then they will continue with the process and eventually let you know whether you qualify for some kind of aid and different grants or whether you do not. You always want to follow up with the financial aid office. Do not wait for them to get a hold of you. Write everything down, call them, swing by their office, email some people. always follow up and make sure that your status of financial aid is always accurate. And if for whatever reason you see something is not accurate, you need to ask about it, and you need to follow the processes and protocols so that they can adjust and fix whatever issues you may be having with financial aid. Once you get that application in online, the free application for federal student aid, the federal government will eventually release it to the college, and then you'll follow up with that particular college about whatever else may be missing. I've never seen an application go in perfectly. So there will always be some kind of correction and or documentation that's missing. So please follow up with your financial aid office after you submit your free application for federal student aid online. Students who are undocumented, or students who meet AB 540 status, or students who are deferred action for childhood arrivals, you guys will not fill out the FAFSA. You guys will fill out the California DREAM Act. And it's the same deadlines, October 1st to March 2nd. But the deadline for undocumented Dreamers, AB 540 students, DACA students, that is a really fixed deadline. It is March 2nd. If you do not get your application in before March 2nd, then you'll lose eligibility for a Cal grant. So just kind of be cautious there. Dreamers and undocumented students, do not fill out the FAFSA. For you, you're going to fill out the California DREAM Act. And make sure you listen to our financial aid podcast. We have an episode for citizens, permanent residents, and eligible non-residents that break down the details of the financial aid process. And we also have an episode for the financial aid process for undocumented Dreamers and DACA recipients. So please listen to those podcasts for exact details, websites, dates, reminders, etc., for the process that you will have to eventually fill out to try and get some aid to go to school. In my personal experience, I had all of my school paid for. I was born in this country. I was low income. My grades were terrible in high school. I graduated. I went to community college a couple hours away, so I moved away from home. And I applied for financial aid, and you know, I always had this misconception that I needed to be at the top of my class to get any help, etc. And no, it doesn't work that way. It's completely based on family size and income. And I'm like, well, my income, my family's income is pretty low. I'm one of 5 brothers and sisters, so we qualified. And all of a sudden, all of my school is paid for, and I'm receiving, a federal Pell Grant for, about $1,000 every 3 or 4 months. And so I was actually getting paid to go to school, which is one of the reasons I stayed in school, is because, why would I leave? You're paying me to go to school and learn something. Okay. It was that simple. So a lot of forms I had to fill out, a lot of follow-up I had to do. So it's kind of the same thing still. 20 years later, it's the same process. So fill out a bunch of forms and follow up. Again, listen to our podcast, episode 12 and 13, for more detailed information on the financial aid process. Now we'll talk a little bit about what California community colleges offer you, right? What can you study there? You have 115 colleges. And, people study different things at community colleges because there's lots of goals. Your goal might be a career certificate, something that is short-term, fast, to get you a higher paying job right away. That's perfect because California community colleges offer career certifications. Some examples of career certifications is like welding technology. You want to be a welder? Yeah, we can teach you how to be a welder, like within maybe 2 to 3 semesters max. Now you're a welder. Welders make anywhere from $30 to $60 an hour, and sometimes even beyond, depending on your skill set. You can totally get that started at a community college and go through our programs and be certified and trained to do that for a living, or to do it for a hobby. Do it as a side job, those kinds of things. Another certification program very popular at my school is mechanical electrical technology. That is a 4-semester program. It's only in the evening. And it basically trains you how to be a heating, ventilation, and air conditioning technician and repair person. And so, if you think about it, every building we walk into is air conditioned. I live in Northern California, Sacramento area, and it's hot, right? I have a refrigerator that needs to keep my food cold. Trucks on the freeway, some of them are refrigerated. Restaurants, bars, you name it, the hospitality industry, wherever you eat, things have to be refrigerated. Things have to be heated. During winter, the heating, if you don't have a heater or your heater breaks down, you're in trouble. These are expert technicians in this field, and in my area of Northern California, the employment rate is through the roof for these types of people with technical skills on how to repair and install heating, ventilation, air conditioning units, not only in residential like homes, but also in commercial settings. So that's one of the most popular programs at my particular institution because of its high employment and high pay rate. There's other certifications in childcare, there's certifications in CPR, there's certifications in healthcare interpreting. There's just a number of different certifications available throughout the California community college system. And if one college doesn't have what you're looking for, look at a different college, and they might be a little bit bigger and maybe offering more things. Auto mechanics is another one, auto collision technology, fiber optics, electronics technology, quite a dozen or so different certifications in computer information science. Some of them are programming, some of them are game design, some of them might have to do with networking and network design and network administration. Some of them are cloud computing, some of them are web page design. I mean, we can go on and on. If you're looking for something quick, a career certificate might be right up your alley. That'll get you out of, a lower paying job. That'll get you out of the service industry. And, if you're not into learning about all the history and all that other stuff, all the science and all the math, then what you do is you choose a career certification because those do not require general education. Career certificates only focus on your major. And so that's why for some people, those career certificates are perfect for you. And if you can get it for free, well, why not? The amount of majors for career certificates is enormous. So look into the particular community college and we can help you out with that here too. Other things that you can study there. Some people want to study the associate's degree. The associate's degree is what most people normally would call the 2-year degree. It's a 60-unit degree. Half of that is general education. So you're going to do like high school classes, but harder. You're going to do some science. You're going to do some math. You're going to do some English, some arts, some music, those kinds of things, some history. That's general education, and associate's degrees require general education. And then the other half of those 60 units is going to be something in your major. And so half of it general ed, half of it major. Minimum 60 semester units. Some people, again, call it the 2-year degree. I don't like to say the 2-year degree because that's a little misleading. What we say is how fast can you finish 60 units, right? Because some people can take quite a bit of units every semester. Other people cannot. I remember one semester that I was in school, I had to go half-time. I had to go 6 units. I couldn't go full-time. I was kind of broke back then, and I needed to really take care of some bills, so I decided to work more. Just that one semester, take just a couple classes, but stay enrolled, work a little bit more, pay off some debt, and then I came back the following semester and went full-time again. You can do that at a California community college, and that's exactly what I was doing when I was there, is trying to rack up units. So don't look at it as how many years. What you look at it is how many units, and then how fast can you complete the amount of units that it requires. One of the most common associate's degrees that I get asked about is associate's degrees in registered nursing, associate's degrees in dental hygiene, physical therapy assistants, associate's degrees in small business management, associate's degrees in programming, web design. We have associate's degrees in almost all of our certificates. You would just have to add general education. And that's another cool thing about community colleges is, say you first started out with only wanting to do a certificate. And while you're finishing that up, you realize, wow, I can really benefit if I had an associate's degree, right? So my resume will look better. I'll feel better about myself. I can tell my boss that I need a raise, etc. You can stack things at a community college. So I often have students that'll do 1 or 2 certificates and really gain a lot of training, start to improve their job and career outlook using those certifications. And then little by little, they'll start adding general education, and those certifications then eventually become an associate's degree. And then they use that associate's degree to really make themselves look a little more polished, look a little more better, look a little more qualified for the next job, the next level up, than someone who only has a high school diploma. So, you can be strategic with how you enter a community college so that you can get some good wins, set some short-term goals, win those short-term goals, and then start stacking either other certificates or start stacking some general education classes on your certificate so that they become associate's degrees. And I've even had some students continue after the associate's degree to continue to take more classes to one day transfer to the university. So that is the other option at a community college, is completing university level requirements. So the third thing you can do at a community college is prepare for transfer. And what that means is that eventually you want a bachelor's degree from the university, and a bachelor's degree is a minimum 4 years. So what you can do is you can enter a community college. You can basically complete 60 transferable units at a California community college, which is your freshman, sophomore year. And then you would be allowed to enter, say, the University of California, one of the campuses of the California State University, and continue the bachelor's degree. And you would enter the university as a junior. So you would finish freshman, sophomore year at a community college. You'd enter the university as a junior, and now you only need to do junior and senior year at the university, and you have your bachelor's degree. So that's the third thing you can do at a California community college, is be on a transfer pattern. The fourth thing you can do at a community college is, what if you already have a degree? What if you already have a bachelor's degree, and your bachelor's degree really, for whatever reason, it is not keeping you as happy as you thought you would be. I get students that come back all the time saying, okay, I'm going to change my career. I studied this other major, and now I'm going to change it to something else because I really found what I love. Now that I'm older, more mature, I know what I want. And so I get that a lot. And so they'll come into a community college, start their program for their next degree or their next goal or their next certificate. And that's perfectly okay, because we are an open access institution. We're there for the community. We're there for you for whenever you're ready, whether it's right out of high school, whether it's in your 30s, whether it's in your 80s. It doesn't matter. As long as you're over the age of 18, we're going to take you, and you're going to work with a counselor and advisor and our faculty to kind of figure out what might be best for you at this point in your life. In summary, California community colleges are mostly free. It's the best deal in town. You can study lots of different things. You can study multiple things, multiple degrees. You don't just study one thing. You get to study as much as you want. There are many options, including career certificates, which is short-term education, major only. Associate's degrees, medium-sized education, 2 to 3 years approximately. There are 60 units. You can study transferring. You can go to a community college. You can finish freshman, sophomore year. You can transfer to university. And you only have 2 years left with them to get that bachelor's degree. It is a smoking deal that's in your backyard. You can go there in person. You can do it all online. You can do it in a hybrid fashion where it's a little bit of in person, a little bit online. You can enter in a fall, in a spring, or a summer, whenever you're ready. Check out inspiramed.com for a full list of all the different community colleges that you can get to and how to access them and take advantage of every program that they have for you so that you can make it through and on with your life. This is Professor G. I want to thank you for listening in, and don't forget to check out our podcast library to ensure that you're getting all of the information and explanation that you need to make it through the system. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at TechoTalks.
Thank you for tuning into Techo Guide, the app focused on bringing you tools and content to help you make better decisions about school, life, and career. We hope this episode has inspired you to pursue and excel in your own educational and career journey. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, and share.